Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're actually going to be touching on a little bit of a heated topic on YouTube. For the longest time, a lot of individuals will come out and tell you guys that 40,000, 50,000, 100,000, whatever, price figure is possible for XRP. Now, I will say this, there's a lot of cash grab going on in the game in regards to XRP and XRP's value. And I have talked about XRP's value in the past. I've talked about $100, $1,000, a $10,000 XRP and how it could happen. Not if it will happen, if it could happen at some time. And, what would we actually have to sacrifice for that to actually happen? Because at the end of the day, guess what? If XRP was going to reach 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, whatever, $1,000 price figure, I think that the world around us would be a little bit different as well at that time. Now, today I do want to talk to you guys a little bit about a touchy subject on XRP, and that is, where could the realistic value actually be? We've seen Vihill Capital, talk about the price of XRP, and I just want you guys to understand that at the end of the day, a lot of that, content does generate a ton of clicks, a ton of attention, and that's why we do see a lot of it happen. I remember when people were talking about a $10,000 XRP, and then all of a sudden Vihill Capital came out and said a buyback's going to happen, $35,000, it's going to be this, it's going to be crazy, and then all of a sudden it was like $50,000, and it's like, okay, like at what point in time did we just kind of say, all right, enough is enough, let's be realistic. Let's actually hit some higher valuations first. Because remember, XRP has been hyper suppressed by the SEC. We have not hit a new all-time high since 2017 and 2018's bull run. And for the most part, the XRP community looks like a laughingstock when we do call, for a massive price on XRP, when ultimately it has massively underperformed in this market. But that doesn't change the perspective on how large XRP could essentially become. In fact, I don't think anyone knows the real value of XRP. I actually don't even think that Ripple knows the real value of XRP, because at the end of the day, Ripple did not create XRP. They're simply utilizing it for a lot of their major processing products on their website. The Liquidity Hub is not utilizing XRP, but the on-demand liquidity sector is. They're utilizing XRP for cross-border payment settlement. They are also utilizing XRP for line of credit. Now, these are great areas. And in fact, they're areas that do provide a ton of value. But what is that value proposition? And could XRP actually hit $100 to $1,000 to possibly even $10,000 per token utilizing those value propositions? Well, let's actually discuss this. So, first off, let's talk about the biggest issue right now globally that is happening within the banking sector. So, liquidity is becoming a big deal. Tightening liquidity may force Indian banks to compete harder for deposits. This is a big deal. And recently we did talk about Credit Suisse, as well as I think that there was another one. I forgot the other bank. I think it was Deutsche Bank. Those two banks were on the brink of collapse, and everyone thought that this was the second coming of the Lehman Brothers failure, and that this was going to be absolutely tragic for the entire markets. And ultimately, the next day we pumped, in regards to the markets looked great. And we actually warned about this. We've talked about how a lot of this is playing into the fear aspect around these markets and really kind of scaring retail off, while of course the big whales are accumulating at some lower ranges. We've actually discussed this quite a bit on this channel. We've actually talked about how we need to separate our emotions from the game. But it doesn't take away the fact that, yes, there is actually a growing liquidity crisis around the world, and it is a big issue. We do see over here from Financial Times, actually, central banks have prepared a recipe for monetary overkill and liquidity crises. While bankers are keen not to repeat the 1970s mistakes, the financial environment and debt burdens are different now. I still believe that we will see at some point in time a little bit of a meltdown, and it could be big. It could be even bigger than the 2008 financial crisis, but we really need to see what is going to happen within the next couple weeks to months. What is the Fed going to do? We've been actually talking about how the Fed might pivot here soon, which definitely would be interesting to say the least. But I think right now liquidity is the biggest focus point. We do see over here, this is from S&P Global.com. Fed tightening points to liquidity pressures, credit concerns on horizon. And then we do see over here, U.S. banks likely to tap other liquidity sources before selling bonds at losses. I think that banks are in need of liquidity right now. They are at a crucial area. Now you might be wondering, okay, well, why don't they just accept the fact that they need liquidity and like they just give XRP the green light and all of a sudden XRP solves every single problem? I think that this is a little bit of a misunderstood area as well. I do believe that XRP definitely would provide a lot of value in this area. In fact, we've actually seen Ripple provide this insight going all the way back to 2018, where they did post this Liquidity Explained article. And this actually talked about quite a bit of things that are happening right now in regards to the monetary world. We do see the Financial Times defines liquidity within a transaction as how easy it is to perform an exchange in a particular security or instrument, or the ease of converting an instrument into cash for withdrawal. This takes into account the stability in the price of each instrument over the course of a transaction, which again is kind of like looking at liquidity as oil. In fact, they actually do say that if a financial transaction is an engine with moving parts and multiple factors that impacts its performance, then liquidity is the oil that makes it move. Good, clean oil in the form of cheap and readily available liquidity means less risk and a faster, smoother transaction, which essentially would be XRP. But the problem here lies within regulatory jurisdictions as well as adoption. Remember, these banks still don't technically want to utilize, Ripple with XRP because, again, it minimizes their profit points. We've actually talked about this. These banks are intermediaries essentially collecting massive amounts of fees off of cross-border transactions and things like that. So these banks are still, at the end of the day, in a monopoly system, which we've talked about many times. But I do think that they would benefit from better liquidity sources like XRP because, again, at the end of the day, it is cheap and it is always readily available with its on-demand liquidity standard. Now, where's the big value here? What is XRP solving besides its efficiencies that banks essentially can't? Well, it's eliminating those nostro-vostro accounts. We've been talking about nostro-vostro accounts for a very long time. And in fact, nostro-vostro accounts have been a point of discussion from Ripple for a very long time. And they even do say it in here, as a result, financial institutions must pre-fund nostro accounts on each side of the transaction in that country's native currency. You might be wondering, well, why would they need to do this? Well, if we look up there, exchanging one currency for another introduces a price and time variance that could impact pricing on each side of the exchange. This erodes the stability of the transaction, therefore the liquidity, and increases risk and cost. And yes, I mean, when you look at liquidity, cost, risk, all of it is pretty substantial within this area. And we do see these accounts balances in a local currency improve liquidity by lowering the risk for the parties transacting. But the problem here, and from a 2016 report, there was approximately $5 trillion sitting in these. Now it's up to about like $27 trillion, and it might even be more. We don't know. But this is a huge area of focus as well, because those nostro-vostro accounts being solved is a $27 trillion problem out the door. But the big deal here is that that $27 trillion isn't going directly into XRP. A lot of people think that that is going to be going right back to XRP, but it's not. In fact, that $27 trillion gets unlocked and it goes right back to the banks to have substantial amount of liquidity, which also would benefit greatly a liquidity crisis. Again, freeing up that capital is huge for these banks because right now these banks don't technically have the substantial amount of liquidity to continue to actually process the payments and essentially, run at the end of the day. That's why we are seeing a lot of issues arise. In fact, overseas is where we are seeing the biggest problems, where banks are actually holding, their customers' money. And even over in China, we actually I think it was China, or it might have been another area, though. I might be wrong on this, but we did see them basically taking individuals' funds that are in the bank account and claiming it as their property and investment contracts, which is a big deal. And we are seeing a lot of banks actually do this, and we've seen a lot of banks do this in the past as well. In fact, you can go look back at the 2008 crisis and do a little bit of research on it and find out that banks were actually doing this as well, locking up individuals' money. Essentially, the money was worthless due to mass inflation and a lot of other issues arising in regards to financial sustainability. And again, we really kind of look at this because we also focus on cross-border payments when it comes to these efficient payments. In fact, they actually do say down here, like, digital assets can be used to lower the cost and improve the speed of liquidity for these cross-border transactions. This is especially true in emerging markets where the cost of currency exchange is high and the trading volume is low. A digital asset designed for enterprise use, can take the place of notional accounts and offer on-demand liquidity. This is possible because the digital asset serves as a universal currency, instantly and cheaply changing any payment into its needed local currency. Now, although, and this is where the big deal comes in, although it's cheap to move XRP, it doesn't mean that the value of XRP needs to be cheap. If XRP is essentially deemed the token that solves all, the token that's going to provide the insight to these Nosho accounts, aka the key that unlocks the door for them to go right back to the banks, and the banks will celebrate because now they have a ton of liquidity. They don't know what to do with it because it's $27 trillion worth and possibly even $30 trillion of liquidity that gets freed. That's great. Now, where does XRP's value really come into play here? Well, we really kind of go and look at SWIFT. So SWIFT is the big key component around cross-border payments. And for the longest time, SWIFT has always been touted as a major giant for Ripple to go after. Well, it's a no-brainer move. I mean, if you think about it, SWIFT is transacting $5 trillion worldwide each day from this report from FinCEN.gov. This is their PDF file. You can read all about it. In contrast to FedWire and chips, a SWIFT message may travel directly from a U.S. financial institution to a foreign institution or vice versa. But the big deal here, right, is that they're doing $5 trillion worldwide a day, which is huge. And in fact, in August 2022, SWIFT recorded an average of 44.8 million FIN messages per day. So this is huge. This is an absolute massive amount of money. Now, do the math. This is essentially about 1.8 or so quadrillion dollars. Very large amount of money. And by the way, I'm utilizing a 365-day time frame for the year. I know that it might be different depending on how you really kind of calculate it. All we know is that at the end of the day, it is within the $1 quadrillion area. Now, I don't believe that the $1 quadrillion is going to happen overnight. In fact, I think that's going to take some time. But I will say this. We actually have a quote over here from Chris Larson that we're going to get into in a second. But I just want to really kind of break down a few things around SWIFT, especially with SWIFT GPI. So SWIFT GPI was the thing that was supposed to kill Ripple and XRP. A lot of people said, well, all right, well, now that they have SWIFT GPI, what does Ripple and XRP do? Like, are they useless? What is going on with, Ripple and XRP with this new SWIFT innovation? The problem is that SWIFT is still very inefficient because at the end of the day, there's still intermediaries. Those intermediaries are key because of today's payment frictions. So although SWIFT GPI is great on the cover, when you open the book, guess what? It's really not that great. There's still a lot of inefficiencies that plague it. There's still a lot of problems within it. There's no instant payments. The cost is still high. There's still a lot of problems that arise when you are utilizing SWIFT. But still, at the end of the day, there's 11,000 plus financial institutions already signed up for SWIFT, and they are utilizing SWIFT on a day-to-day basis for all their transactional value, aka about $1.8 quadrillion. But do I believe that this is going to happen so quickly to the point where XRP is going to come in, swoop up all that volume and value, and it's going to be an end-all, be-all, and XRP is going to be worth $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, whatever $1,000 valuation per XRP? No, I don't believe so. But I will say this. We do see this quote from Chris Larson. Now, I've actually talked about, where their focus is now. And this was from 2019. Thanks to XRP_Crow for this quote. But we do see Ripple is working on a replacement for SWIFT. How to get all of the payment providers onto Interledger Protocol, and how to use XRP as on-demand liquidity. Now, since 2019, a lot has changed. What has changed? Well, Interledger Protocol is no longer needed. A lot of people think that Interledger Protocol is still 100% needed. But when you look at what Quant has done, Quant has fully innovated beyond ILP. Interledger Protocol is great for a connector, but it doesn't really bridge much besides being a connector, meaning it connects one to another. That's really all it is. When you look at Overledger as an operating system or a network, however you want to look at it, it's more of an operating system, but Overledger's connecting everything to one. It's a network of networks. It's a networks that all of these major networks, these banks, DLTs, all of these financial use cases, everything is all connected to one. You could utilize the entire system. There's no fragmentation. It's all, frictionless, which is incredible because it's open banking at the end of the day. Now, where does Ripple play a part in this, and where does XRP play a part in this? Well, now that we have the core interoperability standard set up, which, by the way, we're still very early on that. Again, a lot of this is still years out. You got to remember that. That's why I do say, we need to make our money now. We need to, get our profits. We need to take our profits. We need to reinvest those profits, and we need to make more profits. It's a big key here. It's, making money at the end of the day. But you have that core interoperability standard set up. Now all of these banks, even Swift will be connected to this, by the way. All of these massive financial institutions and banks have access to DLT. They have access to utilize XRP as on-demand liquidity. They have direct connection to RippleNet with it as well. This is the end-all, be-all sort of situation where every single bank, every single financial institution, everything is intertwined between the Overledger system and the DLT systems. Private DLTs, public DLTs, whatever you want to think of, they are all connected. And by the way, for anybody who thinks that DLT is not the future, please go and check out IMF, go check out BIS, go check out World Economic Forum, even go check out Swift themselves. They all say that DLT is the next big evolution in regards to technological advancements. But without getting off track here, this is a 2019 quote. And we've recently actually heard David Schwartz say that their actual goal is to have Swift be complemented by Ripple technology with XRP. How will that work? Well, these 11,000 plus financial institutions that are tied to Swift will have direct access to RippleNet with XRP, or the XRP on-demand liquidity service. This will be huge because then, without having any major intertwining of the systems or connections or IT work or whatever, they will have a plug and play to the XRP on-demand liquidity service powered by RippleNet. This would be huge. But how do we get there? It's probably going to take some time. And a lot of people think that's going to happen in the flip of a switch. I don't believe so. I don't think that that's the case. But let's actually talk about the value proposition here. So, to get to $100, XRP would have to be worth $5 trillion. Again, I say that this won't happen easily, it won't happen quickly, and it won't happen surely overnight. First off, we need all of crypto to get to some high value proposition areas. We need to be in a utility-driven market. We need to be out of the realm of Bitcoin. Because right now, Bitcoin is still driving this market. It is in the driver's seat, you are in the passenger seat, and you are along on the journey. Even at the $1 trillion mark, okay, which, by the way, we could definitely check that out in regards to the $1 trillion mark, XRP would be worth about $20. Now, I think that this is a possibility. I think that we could get to the $1 trillion area first, and I think that this should be the goal first. I don't think that we should instantly say $100. No. Because again, we are still in a 4-year market cycle around crypto, and XRP still has not broken out to a new all-time high. So, I would say our first goal is to break the all-time high and go to a new level. That's the first goal. Where that level goes, we don't know, but we can really kind of gauge the future of XRP's value off of that. That gives us a actual starting point on, okay, well, this is where XRP left off on at the last bull and bear market. But now, when we're talking about utility, and say for so we are in a utility-driven market, and maybe we are transacting at a massive amount of money per year and transactional volume and value, what I really kind of look at is one specific market value around XRP's true value. I actually don't look at anything with Swift because, again, at the end of the day, we don't know what's going to go on with Swift or with any of the adoption area sector around Swift with XRP and Ripple. All we do know is that this is a still very fragmented system. It's a still very inefficient system, but it's centered on a big area, which is cross-border payments. Now, I focus on the cross-border payment market because it's a $156 trillion market. And I've always said, like, we only technically need to grasp about 10% of that market share value and we'll be good. But even 1% of that market, we're talking about $1.56 trillion. This is good enough for me. A 64x opportunity, a $31.29 XRP. And I just want to ask you guys, would this be enough for you? Would you be happy with a $31.29 XRP? Because I believe, and I really will say this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but 99% of you out there watching this video would most likely be happy with just a all-time high valued XRP, or maybe even a $5 XRP, a $10 XRP. And don't be ashamed of that. People in the XRP community would shame you for that all day long because they will say, well, you're going to miss out on $100, $1,000, $10,000. It's going to happen overnight. The problem here is that the entire XRP community has been told this so long to the point where they have grown accustomed to it. They've believed it. Now, do I think that that could happen? Do I think that XRP could be ushered in overnight to solve the global liquidity crisis? Most likely, it could. Anything can happen. This is technology at the end of the day. We are not talking about, fairy tale land and this and that, whatever. No, I don't write anything off. I've always said this. And in fact, I've always said, don't sell your entire bag. I don't sell my entire bag of anything. I always keep, a decent amount of bag on the sidelines because guess what? You never know what's going to happen next. Look at Q&T, right? I mean, yeah, I could have sold all of my Q&T at $400 and rebought at, say for so $40, $50, but I didn't. I still kept a nice, decent bag. In fact, I don't even think I sold any of my Q&T actually. I'm still holding it, and we still never broke down to levels that I seen before I fully originally bought. So we're still good on all of those original buys. But my point here is that don't grow accustomed to one specific price. It's very easy for me to say, okay, well, XRP is 48 cents right now. If I invest, we'll say $4,800 and XRP goes to $10,000, I'm done. I don't need to do anything. It's very easy to do that. And it's very easy to get caught up in that. But I want you guys to understand, and I want you guys to be realistic, that XRP is expanding rapidly right now, especially in regards to on-demand liquidity, and it's focused on cross-border payments. I think, and I truly do believe, that at some point in time, we don't know a timeline on it, and I cannot give you guys a timeline on it, because again, it's going to take a while to get there. But I believe that we could grasp 10% market share value of cross-border payments globally, which would be about a $15.6 trillion XRP. This would be about a $300 and almost $13 XRP. But the problem with this is that how long is it going to take? I believe that the XRP cross-border payments mechanism is incredible. I think that it has a ton of value there. I think that it has an incredible upside potential. But we need to be a little bit more realistic on the timeline here because again, am I going to wait until $300 per XRP gets morphed into reality? Absolutely not. I'm going to trade the cycles. I'm going to, buy low, sell high, and rebuy lower. It's as simple as that. That's what you got to play. I always say, and I've said this since day one, like you really need to trade the chart. You don't need to trade your emotions. You don't need to trade what somebody's saying on Twitter. Because I could easily go over to Twitter right now, look up XRP $10,000, and I could see 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever. There's so many tweets out there that will say XRP $10,000 imminent. XRP $10,000 in an instant, in the blink of an eye. It's all to play into emotions. They want to pump their bags. They want people to hold their bags. That is not the key here in crypto. The key here in crypto is you get in, you make money, you get that money out, you rebuy lower. It's as simple as that. You trade the market cycle. If you don't want to be a trader and you want to be a long-term holder, okay, don't buy high, just buy the massive crashes. Buy when everyone is panicking. Buy when everyone is fearful. Buy when CNBC is telling you crypto is worthless. But I'm telling you right now, do not get caught up in these massive price predictions. Because although they could, and I say they could happen, okay, what's the time frame on it? What does the world around you look like at that point in terms of inflation, in terms of the big crisis is happening and all that, sort of things? At what point does it cost you not taking profit at $4, $5, $10, $20, $30, waiting for $10,000 per token? I mean, realistically speaking, we might never see those prices. We might never see $1,000. We might not even see $100. That's why I always say, like, yeah, sure, it's possible, but who knows what will happen next? So with that in mind, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you guys have more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, up to you all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.